All right, so that's chapter 16. Let's wrap this up. You are there. A member of Congress seeks a federal policy rule, irrespective of the rule's name. So recently, William, Huizenga, a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, co-sponsored a bill to impose a legal requirement for the Fed to follow the Taylor rule. The bill failed to advance to a House vote, and Fed chair at the time, Janet Yellen, also expressed her opposition to that requirement. It would basically take away their discretion in the ability of setting the federal funds rate. So pretty interesting. Do Federal Open Market Committee dot plots chart confusion? Okay, so we talked about this at the start of the chapter. There are some reasons for the problems in interpreting an FOMC dot plot. Only 12 of the 17 members vote every time they get together, so the plot includes predictions of those who have no formal role in making policy decisions, because it includes all 17 members, not just the 12 members that make a vote. So that's part of the problem. The predictions for the federal funds rate ignore the interest rate on reserves, which has become an indicator of the monetary policy stance. And the plots have offered poor predictions about future values of the federal funds rate. So probably not a good idea to look at these and use these in informing your decisions as a business or otherwise regarding future federal funds rates. All right, so just to wrap up, we'll take a look at a summary of our learning objectives. So first, we wanted to be able to identify the key factors that influence the quantity of money that people hold or that they desire to hold, so the demand for money. So of course, that had to do with transactions demand, precautionary demand, and asset demand. Now, transactions demand is related to GDP, nominal GDP, in fact. And so when nominal GDP goes up, people are spending more money, so they need more money for their transactions. Now, we also saw that the interest rate, right, is the opportunity cost of holding money. What do you have to give up by holding cash? Well, you give up the opportunity to earn some interest on your money. And so this is sort of the the trade-off for holding money for precautionary purposes for unexpected expenditures. And the quantity of money declines when interest rate increases, right? So the downward sloping demand for money. Next, we looked at describing how Federal Reserve monetary policy actions influence market interest rates. So how when they change the money supply by buying or selling bonds, how does that translate into a change in interest rates? So market interest rates go up when they sell bonds, and market interest rates go down when they purchase bonds. Remember that the price of bonds is inversely related with interest rates. Then we looked at evaluating how expansionary and contractionary monetary policy affect equilibrium real GDP and the price level in the short run using our Keynesian model. And we saw that expansionary monetary policy will push the money supply up, which causes interest rates to go down, which causes people to spend more money, whether it's consumption or investment or net exports. And so aggregate demand shifts to the right, which pushes us out of a recessionary gap, perhaps, although it does come at the price of higher prices. Whereas contractionary policy, they pull money out of the economy, they reduce the money supply, which brings interest rates up. And so people consume less, they invest less, foreigners buy less of our goods, and we buy more of theirs. And so aggregate demand goes down, which pushes prices down, but it also pushes real GDP down. Then we talked about the equation of exchange and what it means and how it shows us that the supply of money, that the rate of growth in the supply of money is directly related to inflation, right? Now, of course, we were making an assumption there. We were assuming that velocity was constant and that real GDP was more or less constant as well. And then we wrapped it all up talking about how the Federal Reserve has implemented credit policy since 2008 in the Great Recession. And the Fed typically operates through effects of monetary policy actions on market interest rates. It brings about changes in desired investment and thereby affects equilibrium GDP via the multiplier effect. And credit policy involves direct lending to financial and non-financial firms, which has been something that has only done in recent history. We also talked about the use of credit policy by today's Fed. All right, credit policy involves direct lending, like we said, and the Fed's payment of an interest subsidy on reserves provides banks an incentive to hold reserves rather than to loan it out to businesses. So it's not entirely clear that this is actually a good thing. I think we'll probably find out in the next decade or so as we begin to see the long run effects of its credit policies. All right. You're not responsible for the appendix, so don't worry about that. And this concludes the material for the term. This is it, guys. Good job. Congratulations. So at this point, all that you're really responsible for are, finish up your remaining quizzes and homeworks. Go back to any homeworks that you haven't done well on and improve your grade, right? Those are open all the way until the end of the term. So you can continue to work on those homeworks and improve your grade. And that's, as it turns out, a great way to study for your final exam, which is the last exam we have to take. So you've basically got about 2 weeks to do all these things. And in the meantime, as always, I'm here for any questions that you have about material or otherwise. And then other than that, the only other thing we have to do is y'all have to complete an assessment. So keep an eye out for that. I will post it right at the top of our Moodle page with instructions on how to do it. But you will have to complete the assessment and have that turned into me. Don't worry, it's nothing too crazy. It's just basically a couple of short essay questions that you have to answer. And you'll have, at least a week to do those. And you can use your book, you can use notes, you can come back and watch the video lectures in order to answer these short essay questions. But it's basically a way for us to gauge how well you understand the most important material from this term. So there you go. Go back and do your homeworks as a way to improve your grade, but also as a way to study for the final. And then just prepare for the final and keep an eye out for the assessment and complete that assessment. So, thanks guys for a crazy but great term. I hope everybody does well, and reach out if you have any questions. I'll be there for you. Thanks, guys.